One of the ways that you might be able to speed up your render both while you're working and at export is by using OpenGL. OpenGL is a language that allows After Effects to communicate to your graphics card. Now you'll notice that if I go down here to this little square with a lightning bolt, it says Fast Previews over it. This is what controls OpenGL versus Adaptive Resolution. If we use Adaptive Resolution, this is kind of like a regular way of doing things. And you'll notice that the frames have to be green here. They have to be cached into RAM before we get a real-time preview. However, if I change my Fast Preview settings to OpenGL Always On, then we don't really have any RAM settings, and we could scrub through this even without having these frames loaded into RAM. And you will be able to do this if everything in your composition is supported by OpenGL. How do you know if it's supported by OpenGL? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Go back to the Fast Previews button here and go all the way down to the drop-down and select Fast Previews Preferences. This jumps you to the spot in the preferences that deals with what they call Fast Previews. It's here that you can enable or disable OpenGL. And go ahead and click on the OpenGL info, and it'll tell you your graphics card, and it'll tell you the software version of your graphics card, or firmware I should say, and then also the texture memory. This is something you manually input. And for more information on this, you can check the help. But this is what I want to get to here. Here are capabilities supported by OpenGL and your graphics card. Now, if you've purchased a graphics card since After Effects 7 came out, chances are most of these things, if not all of them, are supported by your graphics card. Of course, if you're on a laptop computer, you might not have a dedicated graphics card and might not have these things supported. But if they are supported, and you can scrub through your comp like this in real time without having to render it first using OpenGL, then you could also use OpenGL on export. I'm going to add this composition to my render queue, open up the render settings by clicking Best Settings, and if you go up towards the top, you'll see this option, Use OpenGL Renderer. And if you're confident that your composition can render entirely using OpenGL, then you can select Use OpenGL Renderer, and your composition will probably render much, much faster. Now, the danger in this is that if you have features that are not supported by OpenGL, then they just won't render at all. And I will tell you that if you're doing basic 3D, that's the kind of stuff that OpenGL was created for and likes doing a lot. You use OpenGL a lot when you're doing big CG video games and stuff like that. But as you just saw on that list, there's things like blend modes and other things that are now supported by that as well. So you might want to consider giving OpenGL a try.